Hi everyone, and welcome to Automation Fair 2025. My name is Matt. I'm a business manager here at Rockwell Automation in our design software business. And for the next few minutes, we'll be talking about the role and the rise of artificial intelligence and what specifically that means to design software. On that topic, I have the perfect guest, Tony Carrera. Tony, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So my name's Tony Carrera. I'm the business manager for FactoryTalk Design Studio and really helping drive what we're doing with artificial intelligence.
So one of the products that we'll be talking about that's bringing artificial intelligence forward is our latest design generation, FactoryTalk Design Studio. So you'll hear us talk about that. Plenty of information here at the show on FactoryTalk Design Studio, but that's really the platform that we'll be talking about. So Tony, you and I work in design software. One of the hottest topics is artificial intelligence and what that means for the design flow. But broadly, what areas are we seeing artificial intelligence start to create value and the role that it's playing in design software? What are some of those big areas?
So like a lot of people, we looked at this technology end of 2022, early 23 to look at the potential. Where could it help our customers? Where could it plug into our products? And really looking at high priority workflows, design, development, test, the areas that are really big activities for controls engineers who are looking to build systems. So we wanted to move quickly on this, on the high priority workflows, to build a prototype, to really see if this technology could help us and help our customers build systems. So we moved quickly from prototype to productization and learned a ton over that time.
And one of the places that we're seeing AI start to play a role is knowledge from within the environment. So an engineer can stay in its flow but seek expertise, right?
Yeah, that was a really big point for us where it was talked about in the industry of how to use these tools, use generative AI, interact with agents, but stay in the flow of your activity. Be able to concentrate on your specific areas of expertise and let it set up the scaffolding of a system. Let it set up the valuable but lower value tasks and get that done for you.
So taking work from what is in our flow and maybe time consuming for an engineer, a lot of time is spent on design, configuration, setting up that project. The other aspect is content creation, right?
Very much so, and it's exactly that. How do you onboard people using generative AI, allowing them to ask questions? How do I do this? Explain this to me. And then graduating to, I'm not familiar with this code. Can you explain this PLC code to me? Which, like you brought up, then that graduates to, can you build me code? Can I enter a natural language prompt, kind of crafting what I want to see in the conditions of the code, and letting generative AI build that out for me.
So we have now knowledge within our environment, the ability to, we call it delegating work, kind of delegating tasks to my companion that can do the work for me. So we're also seeing the rise of a couple different maybe user personas that seek value in those two areas kind of differently. Maybe a more junior engineer versus a veteran programmer.
Yeah, that's been such a big part of our conversations with customers. Where does this fit in for those personas? As you're a junior controls engineer, you are looking to learn tools, learn more about it, how to apply them. So look at it as a teammate they could ask questions for. And then for an experienced controls engineer, that's where you're still in control of the output of it. You have the experience to check the work, but you could go from a blank piece of paper to something pretty quickly, as well as ask it for different levels of optimization. What are different ways to build this code or configure this device, and have it come back from options that you could pick from.
So in both cases, we're talking about potentially having a conversation with your projects. Having knowledge and expertise there is, if you're listening to this and thinking about a talent shortage you have or a workforce challenge, we're also at a moment where this is a new platform, so having knowledge of the product, of automation, of languages, having that expertise in the flow certainly helps that talent onboarding. If you're a savvy programmer, then you might be interested in, you might inherit a project that already has some code written to it, and everyone has struggled with interpreting and reading what someone else wrote, but this will play a key role in that, conversing with your code.
Yeah, that has been a really large request. You don't have any design documents, but you have your Logix project, but the person that created it isn't available anymore. But you've got to use it for your next project. You've got to modify it. How to use generative AI to streamline going from, I don't know anything about this code, to I am very familiar with it. I could use it on my next project, or I could modify it much more confidently. And it is that technology inflection of, this is a powerful tool that you should add to your toolbox for being able to have that inline assistant to go through all these different areas and really help you build the best system possible is very powerful.
So in both cases, we're seeing a evolution or a shift from me as the designer having to click through all of my workflows myself to having a conversation and allowing that work to be done by my assistant, by my companion. So we're shifting, we've talked about from clicking to conversation, which is definitely a different relationship with your software than we've had before. But in both cases, the maybe more junior tenured engineer or the veteran can both have a rich experience now, and automation suddenly becomes more accessible because you can just have a conversation. So one of the reasons why those conversations become very powerful, we're talking about delegated work, is really the future of this becomes more than a chat bot. It becomes agents or sets of agents that could do some of these tasks for us. But we hear the term agents a lot. We're showing a few here this week. What role do agents play in this architecture for us?
Yeah, the best way to answer that, Matt, is to look at kind of that evolution of before copilots, with copilots, and then with AI agents in the future. So you could look at the copilots as you're having a conversation to getting individual tasks done. You're able to enter individual prompts. Sometimes they're a little bit longer to do a composite of instructions that you'd like to do, that you formed again in natural language. But then you start the graduating to the agents is where you have purpose-built agents that do very specific tasks. At the show this year, we are introducing a plan agent and a build agent. The plan agent is able to understand design artifacts in order to interpret what it'll take to build a design studio project. And then we have a build agent that follows the task list from the plan agent to construct it, following naming conventions, best practices, really following that instruction. So if you picture it, I know everybody asks for a percentage of where these agents can fit in. But if you even were to say, I could save 30% of the time, and that'll just grow, that's the worst it's going to be. And like we've talked about, Matt, you could see a very experienced controls engineer who will be surrounded by different purpose-built agents as his team. You'll have other people on the team, but you could really have these purpose-built ones that are doing specific tasks, completing these tasks. And again, it's still early in the game, but that is where we're going here.
So we talk about just an innocent question of what could you do as an engineer if you had a team of assistants that you're solving complex, difficult problems as the engineer, but you have a team to execute your vision for you. That's where agents come in. And then just to clarify, we're talking, everything we've talked about so far is FactoryTalk Design Studio, our next generation platform, with a Copilot interface that's powered by these agents. So your interface as the user is a singular space, a single design environment where you have access to all of this power through the natural language prompting and conversation that you're having. Under the hood, there's agents doing all of this work for you.
Yeah, you could look at agents, whether it's they're purpose-built to take out specific tasks. Then you could have agents that you're having in place that could monitor for certain conditions and be able to come back to you saying, you're in a multi-person project, you're collaborating with your teammates, and how to understand when you need to merge content together. Having an agent that could streamline the evaluation of, do I merge your code in with mine? Do we kind of create a composite of that? And having an agent who can explain that very cleanly. So the use cases are infinite.
So now that we've learned a bit about FactoryTalk Design Studio with Copilot, powered by some of these agents that we're talking through, what can people do next?
Yeah, so For FactoryTalk Design Studio, we do this. We do offer a 90-day trial, and that is full access to all the capabilities. Copilot, working with downloading to controllers, really the full gamut for 90 days. And so that is available. We release every quarter, and it's a lot more conducive to do these releases because we're in the cloud. You don't have to wait for the download time to download an install package. Wait through the installation. Worry about Windows dependencies. That's not a thing. So the time from deciding you want to use Design Studio to being in there and building a project is so reduced. It's amazing.
So 90-day trial, we're here at the show at Automation Fair showing a few different pieces, especially in the innovation zone. But if you're listening to this, please leave a comment in the chats and we can take a look. And thanks as always for being a part of Automation Fair with us.